The combat of the Coa was a skirmish occurred during the Peninsular War period of the Napoleonic Wars. It took place in the valley of the Coa River, and it was the first significant battle for the new army of 65,000 men controlled by Marshal André Massena, as the French prepared for their third invasion of Portugal. As the British-Portuguese forces were outnumbered here, on July 22, General Arthur Wellesley, 1st Duke of Wellington, sent Brigadier General Robert Crawford a letter, saying that he was not desirous of engaging in an affair beyond the Coa. On July 24, Crawford's light division, with 4,200 infantry, 800 cavalry, and 6 guns, was surprised by the sight of 20,000 troops under Marshal Michel Ney. Rather than retreat and cross the river as ordered by Wellington, Crawford chose to engage the French, narrowly avoiding disaster. The French objective was to force the light division back across the Coa in order to besiege Almeida. They succeeded after hard fighting, but then launched a costly assault across the Coa, suffering heavy casualties. Battle of the River Coa. Order of battle. British-Portuguese forces engaged were: Light Division, Major General Robert Crawford, 1st Brigade, Lieutenant Colonel Sidney Beckwith 143rd Foot 1, 95th Regiment of Foot 3rd Portuguese Caçadores, 2nd Brigade, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Berkeley 152nd Foot 1, 95th Regiment of Foot 1st Portuguese Caçadores. Cavalry Brigade, Brig Gen. George Janssen 16th Light Dragoons 1st King's German Legion Hussars, Chestnut Troop, Royal Horse Artillery. The engaged units of Ney's 6th Corps included: Infantry Division, Marge Gen. Julian Augustin Joseph Mermet Brigade, Brig Gen. Marshal Maison Rouge 25th Light Infantry Regiment 27th Line Infantry Regiment Brigade, Brig Gen. Mathieu Delabase 50th Line Infantry Regiment 59th Line Infantry Regiment. Infantry Division, Marge Gen. Louis Henry Loyson Brigade, Brig Gen. Edouard Simon Legion du Midi Hanoverian Legion 26th Line Infantry Regiment Brigade, Brig Gen. Claude François Ferry 32nd Light Infantry Regiment 66th Line Infantry Regiment 82nd Line Infantry Regiment. Corps Cavalry Brigade, Brig Gen. Auguste Lamotte 3rd Hussar Regiment 15th Chasseurs à Cheval Regiment, Reserve Cavalry Brigade, Brig Gen. Charles Gardin 15th Dragoon Regiment 25th Dragoon Regiment. Artillery, 4-foot and 2-horse artillery batteries. French offensive. Crawford committed a serious tactical error by choosing to fight with an unfordable river at his back while badly outnumbered. As such, in the early hours of the 24th of July, after a night of torrential rain, Ney sent 4th Ferry and Loison's divisions to engage the Allies. A company of the 95th Rifles came under fire from French artillery as they moved into attack. French voltigeurs of the 32nd then came up and took the fight to the bayonet, and the heavily outnumbered British broke and fled. The guns of Almeida opened fire on the 95th Rifles, mistaking them for French because of their dark uniforms. They then fell under attack by the French 3rd Hussars, supported by 2 companies of dragoons. British troops of the 43rd came to assist them. Though fierce fighting broke out, the French advance was halted. Despite orders from Wellington to fall back across the River Coa, Crawford decided to hold his ground as more French arrived and began to deploy in formation. The 15th Chasseurs à Cheval then charged to the south to outflank the British 52nd Division, while Ferry's French brigade attacked the British positioned near a windmill positioned at the British right, advancing through rough terrain while Almeida's guns were firing upon them. The French infantry charged the British with fixed bayonet and, under mounting pressure, the Allies began to fall back, isolating themselves from the 43rd Division under attack by the 15th Chasseurs. The 3rd Hussars came into the fight and Crawford's men took heavy casualties. All this time, while Ney's assaults were being slowed by awful terrain, Almeida was slowly being isolated from the Allied force. Crawford, realizing his situation that the French were threatening his only escape, ordered a withdrawal across the River Coa, with the British 52nd and 43rd Foot as well as the 95th Rifles protecting their retreat. For the British, matters only became worse. A supply wagon turned over and caused a traffic jam in the retreat across the bridge. The French were gradually driving back the British divisions protecting the withdrawal. Crawford then ordered these troops to fall back and take position the heights overlooking the bridge and hold that position until the retreat had been made. The French took the heights, but in a move that took the Ney's forces completely by surprise, the Allies made an assault and held their opponents at bay long enough for the main body of the British-Portuguese to make it across to the other side of the River Coa. Assault across the Coa with the French driving the light division back. Ney then attempted attacking across the Coa. In the first attempt, grenadiers of the 66th surged towards the bridge under a hail of musketry and cannon fire, failing to get more than halfway across the bridge. The second, more strongly pressed offensive was made by the elite chasseurs de la siege light infantry. Oman writes that they had flung themselves at the bridge, and pushed on till it was absolutely blocked by the bodies of the killed and the wounded, until they themselves had been almost literally exterminated. For out of a battalion of little more than 300 men, 90 were killed and 147 wounded in less than 10 minutes. The final attack was once more led by the 66th, which was beaten off with little difficulty. Aftermath: the battle ended with the French having, despite the setback at the bridge, driven the light division from the field. Having been beaten back and only narrowly escaped a total rout, Crawford's forces withdrew at midnight, leaving Massena free rein to lay siege to Almeida. Napier and Oman stated that the British Light Division held off the entire 20,000 troops under Ney. However, it was only Ferry and Loaisson's division that actually engaged the Light Division. French forces engaged were around 6,000 pitched against 4,000 British-Portuguese. Casualties are hard to determine. Both the French and the British-Portuguese were biased. Imperial propaganda reported Allied casualties to be at 1,200, while many British sources claimed the loss of 36 killed and 189 wounded as well as 83 missing. On the other hand, French casualties are easier to determine, as both the Allies and French estimated around 500 dead or wounded. The great majority of these casualties were due to Ney's futile attack across the bridge.